Do your research, you find out that there's no paperwork on Big Meech. So if you go do your research, you find out that there's no paperwork on Big Meech. That's why you hadn't seen no paperwork. It's all hearsay. Somebody saying he told, or somebody saying he used Tammy Cowan's to set up Cuffy. Well, when you do your research and you look at the court documents that's on Big Meech, you see that Tammy Cowans took the stand and said that she did this on her own accord without Big Meech's knowledge.
Hey, I was like, damn, you know, like, seemed like him and 50 got a, you know, because after that thing came out, how Meech was talking all, you know, like, no. Oh, y'all.
Floyd Mayweather just fired off some serious warning shots at Charleston White, telling him to stay out of this Big Meech mess or face some real consequences. But Charleston? He's not the type to back down. He made it crystal clear that he won't be silenced just for speaking his mind. Ever since getting out of jail, he's been hitting every interview he can, and in one of them, he had a lot to say about the whole Big Meech and 50 Cent situation. Charleston admitted there's no hard evidence that Big Meech snitched on anyone, but that didn't stop him from stirring the pot. He backed 50 Cent's outrage, saying the rapper had every reason to crash out because Big Meech and his son switched sides and linked up with his enemies. And one of those so-called ops? None other than Floyd Mayweather himself. But Floyd wasn't having it. He did not appreciate Charleston running his mouth, and now he's made it clear, if they cross paths, it's on sight. So, what's the real deal here? Is Mayweather genuinely trying to help Big Meech and his family get back on their feet? Or is he just looking to get under 50 Cent's skin? This Big Meech drama is spiraling way out of control, and now it's dragging in some of the biggest names in the game. The latest casualties? Floyd Mayweather and Charleston White. And trust, this is only getting messier. And when I say this drama is messy, I mean messy. In a recent interview, Charleston White didn't hold back while breaking down the beef between Big Meech, Lil Meech, and 50 Cent. And trust, he dropped some wild bombshells. First off, Charleston made it clear. He's not fully buying 50 Cent's claims that Big Meech is a snitch. He straight up said he hasn't seen any paperwork proving it, so until then, the accusations don't hold weight. And as for those rumors that Big Meech used Tammy Cowan to set up Cuffy and others, Charleston shut that down quick, saying people need to stop running with unverified stories and actually do their research. But here's where things got real interesting. Charleston actually sided with 50 Cent and put Big Meech and Lil Meech on blast. He said 50 had every right to snap the way he did because let's be real, nobody had Big Meech's back like 50 did, not even Rick Ross. 50 took Lil Meech under his wing, got him cleaned up, sent him to acting school on his own dime, and then plugged him into a hit series that put millions in his pockets. While Big Meech was locked up, 50 basically played the role of a father to Lil Meech. And according to Charleston, anyone would feel some type of way if they did all that for someone, only for them to turn around and start hanging with their enemies. He called Big Meech linking up with Rick Ross a straight-up betrayal, a slap in the face to 50. And in his eyes, Big Meech and his son deserve whatever 50 throws at them for that level of disrespect. If y'all remember, this whole mess kicked off because Big Meech linked up with Rick Ross to get some quick cash after getting out of jail. But here's the kicker. None of this would have even gone down if Lil Meech hadn't burned through all the money 50 Cent put in his pocket when they were working together. 50 felt completely blindsided when he found out Big Meech had gone behind his back to team up with Rick Ross. And that's when 50 went nuclear, calling Big Meech out as a spy, a snitch. Lil Meech wasn't about to let that slide, though. He jumped into 50's DMS, trying to explain his father's moves, basically begging for understanding. His message? Pure frustration. He told 50, "They just told me you unfollowed me on Instagram, and now you're managing Skillababy, when I'm the one who brought him around you in the first place. You didn't even know who he was. Now you're mad at me? Man, I would take the shirt off my back for you. I can't believe this. You're acting like I'm your enemy when all I've ever shown you is love and loyalty. I'm human. I go through my own problems, but I never switched up on you. Ross. Yeah, he gave my dad some bread, but it was just so he could afford to live until our next season starts. This internet drama is throwing me off, man. You know me in real life, Star. It was clear Lil Meech was desperately trying to get back on 50's good side. But 50's? He wasn't having it. Instead of showing mercy, he hit back with a bombshell, announcing that he was canceling the BMF series, which was Lil Meech's main money stream. And just like that, the internet exploded. Some people thought Lil Meech was doing the right thing by apologizing, but others? They felt he should have stood his ground and checked 50 for disrespecting his father. Boozy had a lot to say about this situation. And honestly, he's not wrong. You can't deny that 50 Cent cutting off Lil Meech is a major hit to his pockets. Because let's be real, 50 was the one who put him on. You'd think Big Meech and Lil Meech would at least try to sit down with 50, talk things out, and see if there was a way to keep the BMF series going. But nah, they didn't even try. Instead, they drew the battle line. Rather than fixing things, they went all in, hanging out with even more of 50's enemies. And Lil Meech? He's been out here boldly linking up with Floyd Mayweather on multiple occasions, making it crystal clear whose side he's on. In the last few weeks alone, Big Meech and Lil Meech have been posting back-to-back photos of themselves hanging out with Floyd and Rick Ross. Lil Meech even dropped a whole set of pics of them kicking it at Lucky Strike Bowling Alley in Miami. And the caption? Real power. If that ain't a direct shot at 50, I don't know what is. But he didn't stop there. Lil Meech also shared exclusive photos of himself, his father, and Floyd at a secret location, keeping the heat going. And most recently, a video of him and Floyd living it up courtside at a Lakers game. At this point, nobody can argue that this isn't a deliberate jab at 50. And let's not forget, 50 Cent and Rick Ross have been at war for years. Their beef goes way back, all because Ross felt like 50 gave him a dirty look when they were on stage together. From that moment, it was full-on war. Diss tracks, interviews, and non-stop shade. And if there's one thing 50 doesn't let slide, it's reminding everybody about Ross's Officer Ricky past. 50 Cent has never held back when it comes to Rick Ross. He straight up believes Ross is playing pretend in the gangster world while still having that correctional officer mindset. In a 2015 interview with Tim Westwood, 50 didn't mince words. He flat out called Ross a fraud. And he didn't stop there. 50 straight up dismissed Rick Ross's entire career, calling him irrelevant and saying he had zero respect for what Ross had built. But let's be real. Rick Ross hates 50 just as much. He's made it clear that he sees 50 as nothing more than a big bully and refuses to take him seriously. Now, with Ross and 50, the beef makes sense. The disrespect has been flying for years. But what really catches people off guard is how things went so bad between 50 and Floyd Mayweather. These two weren't just friends. They were like brothers. And yet, here we are. One of the messiest feuds 50 has ever been involved in. And that's saying a lot because we all know 50 doesn't play when it comes to beef. Back in the day, 50 and Floyd were inseparable. They went everywhere together, so much so that they even landed the cover of XXL magazine as a duo, proving just how solid their bond was. But then, everything changed in 2012. That was the year Floyd got locked up for a few months after a DV conviction. While he was in jail, he personally asked 50 to step up and handle business, taking over the money team, TMT, Mayweather Promotions, and all his boxing-related ventures. 50 agreed, thinking he was just keeping things running for his friend. But what he didn't expect? The absolute mess he walked into. Floyd's businesses weren't even properly registered. 50 had to start everything from scratch, and that's when things started going sideways. After personally sinking $1 million of his own money into cleaning up Floyd's business disaster, 50 Cent got hit with the ultimate betrayal. The second Floyd got out of jail, he flipped on him. Not only did Floyd refuse to pay 50 back or even match his investment, but he accused 50 of trying to take over his company behind his back. And while Floyd was out here spinning this narrative, 50 and his team were running a Let's Get Floyd Back in Pocket campaign. a fundraiser that felt eerily similar to the one Rick Ross wanted to throw for Big Meech. Now, if there's one thing we all know about 50 Cent, it's that loyalty is everything to him. And watching Floyd push these false stories about him? Yeah, he wasn't about to let that slide. But when 50 finally fired back, the tables turned. Suddenly, he was painted as the villain. Floyd doubled down, calling 50 a washed-up male boxing groupie with a failed music career. At first, they tried to convince the media that they had squashed their beef and were back to being cool. But that fake peace didn't last at all. Before long, things got even uglier, with both men going for each other's throats. Floyd took low blows, clowning 50 for his broken relationship with his son, Marquise. But 50? He wasn't about to take that without firing right back. He put Floyd on blast for messing around with his best friend's woman. And just when things couldn't get more toxic, 50 took it to a whole new level. He directly accused Floyd of being involved in the tragic demise of Earl Hayes and his wife, Jessica. 50 even said, "Tell everybody why you was on FaceTime with him while he unloaded on Jessica and himself. Because he was confronting you about sleeping with his wife." At this point, it looked like 50 might finally back down. But nah. Instead, he went straight for the jugular. 50 Cent took pettiness to another level when he publicly challenged Floyd Mayweather to read just one page of Harry Potter. And to make it even spicier, he promised to donate $750,000 to any charity of Floyd's choice if he could actually get through it. Floyd, of course, wasn't about to let that slide. He clapped back by posting stacks of checks adding up to over $72 million, basically flexing that he didn't need to stoop to 50's level. But even with all that money talk, Floyd never managed to shake off those illiteracy accusations. So, what did Floyd do next? He tried to turn the tables, challenging 50 to step into the ring and settle their beef the old school way. For a minute, it looked like the fight was actually going to happen in 2014, but surprise, surprise, it never did. Fast forward to 2018, and Floyd took the pettiness up a notch. He personally invited Taira Mari, the same woman who was suing 50 for revenge content, to perform at his nightclub. That was the final straw. After that, their so-called friendship was completely dead. And just to make it official, Floyd went off, dragging 50 in a scathing open letter on Instagram. He called 50 a snitch, clowned his music career, and painted him as a bitter, jealous man who couldn't even keep a decent relationship with his own son. It was a brutal attack that obliterated any last bit of brotherhood they might have had left. So, when Big Meech and Lil Meech started popping up in photos with Floyd, you already know 50 wasn't about to let that slide. Without skipping a beat, he came swinging with his own shots. In one post, he dropped a video of Lil Meech talking to Rick Ross and mocked them, joking that they were probably planning for Ross to send Big Meech a care package of chicken wings from his fast food chain. And he didn't stop there. 50 clowned Lil Meech again in another post, this time comparing his acting skills to Michael Rainey Jr., basically saying he was mid at best. Yeah, this war? Far from over. Michael Rainey Jr., the star of 50 Cent's award-winning series, Power Book 2, Ghost, had just secured an NAACP award for his performance. And of course, 50 used the moment to fire shots at Lil Meech. He even dropped an AI-edited video where he flat out put Lil Meech on blast. In the clip, 50 made it clear. He tried to show Lil Meech the good life, but instead, Meech was dead set on following in his father's footsteps. Now, on the surface, some people thought it was weird that 50 was coming for Lil Meech when he technically had nothing to do with his father's alleged snitching scandal. But 50? He wasn't about to let that narrative fly. When Boozy called him out for pressing Lil Meech over his dad's drama, 50 finally laid it all out. He said, "I did more for Meech than anyone in his life, Boozy." That's why he responded like that. If he gets locked up, I'm the first person he calls. I bailed him out every time. But when I saw him laughing at his Pops post, I said, oh, he a snake too. He belonged with him. And that wasn't the only tea 50 spilled. He went even deeper, exposing just how much he did for Lil Meech behind the scenes. In another post, 50 dropped receipts about how he got Lil Meech into rehab and even gave him financial advice. He said, "I thought about it. I think he was uncomfortable with me and his mom's relationship. I'm telling his mom, I don't want him doing that stuff. He's telling him he used to do X like it's cool. I tell his mom, chill, stop spending all your money. He's over there bragging about how much he blew. People don't know. I had to send Meech to rehab." Russell Hornsby peeped he was high as hell on set. He started throwing up during a weapons test. Then Ian told me the little ninja had whippets in his truck. I said, "What the F is whippets?" At this point, 50 wasn't just exposing Meech. He was airing out everything. Man, it's wild, whippets! That's the stuff in baby guns. But let's be real. If someone does this much for your family, the bare minimum you can do is not embarrass them publicly, especially by hanging out with their enemies and plastering those photos all over social media. And that right there, that's exactly why Charleston White said Big Meech's biggest mistake was posting that video with Rick Ross and then doubling down by denying the snitch allegations. Because let's be honest, if there was even a slight chance that 50 might move past the Rick Ross situation and keep the BMF series alive, Lil Meech and his dad shattered it the moment they linked up with Floyd Mayweather. Now, as for Floyd, oh, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's fully aware of the bad blood between Big Meech and 50 Cent, and let's be real. He's using the father and son as pawns in his own war with 50. And apparently, Floyd is so locked in on getting back at 50 that he's willing to take down anyone standing in his way, including Charleston White. Rumors are flying that Floyd is allegedly pulling strings behind the scenes to get Charleston arrested and thrown back in jail. If that's true, that's beyond wild. But what do y'all think? Is Floyd actually gonna come through for Big Meech and his son? Or is this all just a calculated move to get under 50's skin? Drop your thoughts down below. Hit that like button, subscribe for more drama, and don't forget to share this with your people. We've got way more coming, so stay tuned, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Fire!